Hello, world. It's me,
Hello.
Dennis. Hello, Renee. Happy
Hello, it's
day.
me, Renee. Happy day to talk about positive things here on our
Right.
second episode ever of our new show,
Be
Be Positive.
positive.
Bzz, bzz,
And
bzz.
and the thing about positive things is that there are if we look at the world, if we look at the world and here's the sun, and
Mm-hmm.
so that we have the sun, and the sun is on the world, and the half the world, though this has hemisphere has light, and
Mm-hmm.
this hemisphere has darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and we find that the that in life I have found, and certainly having been in the news business since 1973, when I was in college and entered into the business, is that
Mm-hmm.
the dark is what sells. The dark, if it bleeds, it leads. This is what,
Mm.
so therefore, especially in this world of social media and all the world, all that we work, is that it is much easier to get an audience if you appeal to the darkness. Now,
Yeah.
the thing about the light is that it is easier to say no, but the minute you say yes, the world is filled with complexities. So this is
Mm-hmm.
all about yes, and the people who say yes. And this is what our guest is today. And that we guess, would you help introduce Joe for us, please?
Yes, I would love to. I'm so excited about this. So this is a musician named Joe Willey, and he's from Joe Willey and the Movin' Men. But he is a fascinating guy. He's played on some amazing records. He's a songwriter. He's an amazing performer and an amazing person. He's fascinating. So I've wanted us to have this conversation with Joe for a very long time. I'm so happy that we're able to do it. He's going to play us in with a song that's going to lead us into a very interesting topic to have on Be Positive. But it's a very Dennis Tardon way of looking at tough topics. So let's bring him on. And this is Joe Willey, everybody. Hello,
Hey,
Joe.
Hello, Joe. Welcome.
thank you. So this song is called Zen Cowboy Prayer, and
All right.
it's one that I plan to record with the band very soon. I actually sent Renee a demo of it. I don't know if you listened to that, but
Yes, beautiful. Thank
oh,
you.
thank you. Anyway, so with the band, it's going to be more of a like pedal steel and distorted guitar, sort of a Neil Young type of a thing. But of course, usually when I write songs, I write them first on the acoustic guitar because it's easy to pick up. And I love this guitar. So this particular guitar, I acquired immediately after my mother's death, as well. And this jacket, um, I got it at the Peabody Hotel the day that we buried her.
Oh
And
my gosh.
When
this
was that? When was that, Joe?
It was 2014.
So it was 2014, and was this a had you talked did you get a chance to talk to your mother about her dying, or this was there a closure about that before she died?
I was there at her deathbed. I was there by her side. I was mixing up um, morphine and some sort of anti-anxiety drug to
Hmm.
give it to her.
Sure.
And at the moment I was doing that, that's when she passed away.
Hmm.
But my favorite thing that happened, like during that time, is she really hated me having a beard, and so when we decided that she was going to go home and do hospice care instead of trying to get better,
Yeah.
I mean, she was her organs were shutting down. She was not going to get better.
Absolutely.
And so we went home and I got in the ambulance with her, and she looked at me and looked at the ambulance driver and said, "Are you going to let that homeless man get in the ambulance with me?" it was so funny. And I never really knew if she was confused or if she was making a dig at me or if it was just trying to be funny.
Got
But
to have one final. We got to have one dig to.
it was so funny. But anyway, so I'm going to sing this song for you. I didn't
Thank you, Joe.
realize what it was. It's one of those songs I kind of didn't realize what it was about until I was well into writing it, and then kind of went with it.
I see a single star. This night I'm on the range. The things I leave are far. The things I leave are strange. The night air on my skin. I feel my senses rise. There's nothing here to win. No losers and no prize. When I wake, I feel so hungry. When I wake, I feel so free. When I wake, the day is with me. The day that comes to be. The fire of all mankind. I tend my fire tonight. My coffee and my beans. My fire of love and light. The embers dim and die. The darkness brings my dreams. I breathe the final sigh. The moonrise spreads her beams. When I wake, I feel so hungry. When I wake, I feel so free. When I wake, the day is with me. The day that comes to be.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you. What a glorious ode. Thank you. Oops, you've gone somewhere for me. Thank you, Renee.
That was so touching. What do you, Joe, let me ask you, when you, as a songwriter and a performer, a lot of times I know that we as musicians, we perform the same songs over and over again. We rehearse them over and over again. Do you still have the same feelings when you perform that now as when you wrote it or you first performed it?
I'm not sure. So one thing about the job of a songwriter, right, is so I have a band, and part of what I want to do is I want to write a song that gives the rest of the band some space to do their thing. And it's a great song for pedal steel. It's a great song for drums. It's a great song for bass. It's a great song for harmony.
Hmm.
It's simple enough, but then it changes enough that it's interesting. And so One thing that I think about a lot is I was an English major, and I took 2 Shakespeare courses. And one thing that I learned about Shakespeare is that he appealed to his audience wherever they were. You know, he
Yeah.
appealed to the people who just wanted a crude pun. He wanted he appealed to the people who wanted a little sensationalism, like, a piece of liver bitten off that looks like biting off a tongue. Or maybe I think that was maybe Christopher Marlowe who did that. I can't remember. But and then there are those people in the audience who want the poetry.
Yeah.
And so as a listener, I started listening to a lot of records when I was a teenager, and the way songs would hit me is
What years were there? I'm going to interrupt you, Joe, just so that I know contextually. What years were you a teenager?
So I graduated from high school in 1981.
Okay, so all right, so those were the music you were listening to. What was on your music list during that sophomore, freshman, junior year that you were listening to?
So early on, it was all bluegrass. I loved Flat and Scruggs and Bill Monroe,
Oh,
and I loved Ricky Skaggs and I loved J.D. Crowe in the New South,
mhm.
the Seldom Scene, all of these great bluegrass artists of the 70s. I listened to all of them, like, a lot.
Cool.
And I got into the blues, and and of course I got into the Beatles and the Stones and rock and roll. But I started listening to John Lee Hooker and Lightning Hopkins and
Oh yeah. Wow.
people like that. And there are some songs that they took me years for the song to really hit home. Like, one song I like to talk about is Moore's Farm. Do you know that song?
I
I
can't
don't.
think of it right now.
It was
I
written
don't.
by let's see, Mance Lipscomb and Lightning Hopkins was kind of around in the same area of agriculture
Mm-hmm.
in Texas at the time. And actually, it's about a real person. And the words are, the one thing this black man did was wrong was to move my wife and family down to Mr. Tom Moore's farm.
Wow.
And I'm not going to go I'm not going to go deep into that because it's too much. But if you listen to that song, Tom Moore Blues, it really speaks to a lot of things that we need to address in this country still.
Wonderful. And that's one of the neat things that I feel. I span the entire spectrum from I'm sorry, I've lost y'all. There you go.
I'm sorry. Okay. That's me
you.
doing that. That's me doing that. Dennis doesn't like to be alone on the
Thank you, Daria,
screen.
because I want to be able to have the
I forgot.
reaction for that
Okay.
for that. But anyway, I span from Jim Crow on the white side, having old enough to actually experience from the white side I colored and white drinking fountains, colored and white entrances to movie theaters. We had segregated our schools in South Texas, believe it or not, early, so when I came back here, came to Texas in the 6th grade, we'd already integrated. And so it was a different experience. It was an experience for me to be able to see and to know something is wrong, but also know that I was on the privileged side of what that was.
Right.
So that was my experience of that, and so I'm really I'm feeling very strongly that there is a reckoning that we're getting a chance to go through in the United States, a healing that we can go through now. What's your thoughts about that, Joe?
That's something I think about a lot, Dennis. I think about it all the time. So I think that we have a lot of historians these days who are doing very important work. One of the books that I'm reading right now is it's a book by Edward Baptist. It's called "The Half Has Never Been Told," and it's about the economic history of slavery. But one really interesting thing that he's done in this book, the author, Edward Baptist, is he went back to look at some information that not a lot of people have looked at. During the 30s, the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps,
Right.
had a project where they had some people go around and talk to formerly enslaved people and get their stories. And
Yes,
this
I'm
is
familiar.
information that has not
Yes.
really been out there very much. And it's devastating. I mean,
Yes.
to hear these folks talk about what really happened, and that's the title of the book. The half has never been told.
Yep.
Like
And
for a long time, it's all been covered up
Sure.
very deliberately.
Of course.
Well,
yeah.
the history is written by the winners.
Mhm.
And so that's part of what we're getting an opportunity to do, is to be able to show a much more complex story. Renee and I talk about this all the time, is that because we can hold two thoughts at the same time. We can hold the thought that this is the country of the greatest opportunity of thought, and the greatest opportunity of that can be at the same time that there are deep and important wrongs that must be addressed, that must be reckoned with, that must be dealt with in order for us to be able to have a greater future. And until we do, so both of those things can be true. It's not a binary state that we're either the worst country or the best country. It's a complex issue, just
Right.
like each of us are.
Mhm.
Right. But I mean, telling the truth about what happened is of utmost importance.
Exactly.
Absolutely, and agreeing together on a truth that we can agree upon. That's in seeing the Tulsa massacre brought up this year, and brought up and really brought to the forefront, so that we could understand what was happening and what happened in Kansas City and what happened in the different parts of the West, so that we can have a greater understanding of this. I was stunned by the idea of that we're now having Juneteenth as a holiday. This is just happened that because this is when in Texas, 2.5 years after slavery had been abolished, the word came to Texas. Now, please understand, we had telegraphs back then. We had the news. So what was going on in 2.5 years that it took for this news to truly to soak down into the planet? So that's what we're getting a chance to be able to do that. And that's where I'm Be Positive, that Renee and I have made a commitment to, is that how can we shine a compassionate light on ourselves and on the history of ourselves and our country, and how can we do this in a way that is constructive?
Well, so I actually have a project that I'm doing. A lot of this reading that I'm doing is going into songs, and I don't want to talk too much about that project because it's not finished. But I do have some songs, and
Oh, well, Joe, without saying this before, would you please consider that when you do get the project to a place where you would like to either workshop some of the songs or do that, that you reach out to us and allow us to be part of that process?
sure.
That would be
Because
awesome.
this is very important to us.
Yeah, we
It's important
love
to us
having
as
these
a network.
conversations. Mhm.
To be able to help to be part of this great healing.
And Joe, I wanted to tell you in the comments, we're getting a lot of questions about your memories of Vic Chestnut and also about Milton Leathers. If you wanted to talk about either of these two.
Yeah, I did not know Milton Leathers that much. He was a
Okay.
dear man, and I was sorry to hear of his passing, but I didn't know him. But Vic, I did know Vic, and
Mm-hmm.
Who is this? So this is, you have to understand. I'm a television kid. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in television. I know a lot about television. I know this much about music. So educate me on this person.
so Vic Chestnut was a man who came to Athens from Zebulon, Georgia, and he was a great songwriter, and he got very famous with his songwriting. And his life was short. Um, he ended his own life. I think because he was in a lot of pain. He um, had had an accident when he was in high school on prom night, and a car accident, and he was paraplegic, but he managed to learn again how to play the guitar. And I remember one time he told me that he was able to have the career that he had because he was on disability, because he didn't have to work, and he would just sit around all day and write songs.
So that's work.
It is work, but it's not what Americans think of.
Yeah.
Exactly. That
Right.
was
Well,
the thing that I love. I love about the idea of how do we support our artists and find out what we have a goal here at the network. We're actually built. This is a startup, and we're building a network that has, with both Renee and I and our partner, we have a cap as to what our income will be, and that any income that comes in over that after the expenses of the network are done are going to be going to the world, going to water projects, going to artists, going to personal people that we know that are doing it, so that we will know when we've reached that number, and that all the whatever goes across the top, that gets just spread out to the world. And so that to me is the way that we can support artists and find ways that we can make it, because in my nature, I know that when I touch my artist, I touch my humanity.
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing about Vic is he had a, a much more complex harmonic sense than he was able to express through his guitar playing. He told me that his grandfather, Sleepy Carter, would drill him on going through Sweet Georgia Brown in all 12 keys.
wow.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So, like,
Wow.
I mean, this is the background that he came from. And, he sort of had this raw style, but, he had this really interesting drawl from Zebulon, Georgia. And he had this sense this wicked way of looking at people. You just have to listen to some Vic songs. And I had told Renee that I was on his first album.
I was just going to ask you about how that came to be, that you played on his first record. How do you get to play on Vic Chestnut's first record? How does that work?
Well, supposedly we were practicing the song, and it was going to go, and we were going to go in the studio to do it. Mm-hmm. And Vic pulled a Vic on us, and he just recorded it on a little cassette recorder and just put it on the record just like that. And while we were sitting around practicing it, we were cracking pecans. And so you can actually hear on the recording this little that's cracking pecans.
That's beautiful. I do now. I want us to merge, just in the interest of time, because there's so many things that we could talk about. But we want to talk about death, because we talked about your mother, and now I want to play a clip from Sister Morphine. Okay. And I want us to talk, because Dennis and I are very interested in the topic of death and and positive ways of talking about death instead of this usual way that people talk about death, right?
Well, so I mean, it's and one of the things that we talk about is that tragedy, if it happens to only a few, comedy, if it happens to everyone. So this is something, since each of us gets an opportunity to go through it, and we also get an opportunity with should we live long enough to go through it with people, that there must be ways of looking at it that are different than I'm looking at it before.
Yes. So let me play just a little clip of this project that Joe spearheaded last year, and then we can react to it. So.
So, do you want to hear how that came to be?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? If I could just sit, I was stunned, Joe. So it was taking me a moment to get through. I was moved so deeply.
So this was during the first part of the Corona pandemic, right, in April of 2020. We had a big gig that we were really looking forward to, and it got canceled. Hang on, this light coming through the window is really starting to hit in a way that's making it tough. So I'm going to kind of scoot over a little bit.
And pull that mic over so we can hear you. There you go.
Yes, fantastic.
Okay. So now the mic is glowing.
Exactly.
So anyway, it was April 2020, and everybody was getting their gigs canceled. Nobody could get together and play. It was just no fun. We had this big gig that we had canceled. We were going to do a CD release. That all got canceled. And, I was listening to the news about the coronavirus, and it was a disease that, people were, like drowning.
Yes.
And the healthcare system is so bad. And I was just thinking about all those people who, having been a person who administered morphine to a person who was dying, I was just thinking, what about all those people who aren't even getting any morphine? Like people who are just struggling and they're dying and they can't even get that. And so for some reason, the song Sister Morphine popped into my head, and I listened to it, and it just struck a chord. And so my daughter, Nolita Rose, and I did a recording of it, and you saw I had the headphones on, so we did a click track, and then she sang. And then once we had those tracks down, I was able to put together a project whereby all these musicians from all over Athens, including my band, were able to do remote contributions. And then, so I had it professionally mixed by Full Moon Studio.
Love Full
Once
Moon.
I got all the tracks.
Great.
And had it mastered. And then I put the video together, to that finished track, and people seem to like it. And all the musicians who participated felt really good about it. And Sean Dunn, who is a great player, he plays in the band 5/8. He's also a photographer. He wanted to be in it, but then he said, I think it's got enough. But I've got these pictures. And so he gave me pictures that he had taken around Athens of the deserted streets. And I superimposed those pictures on top of us playing this song.
Joe, what did you learn about yourself in the creative process during the pandemic that you would not have pushed yourself to had that not happened? Because what you just described was a way of artists coming together that would not have occurred. Do I understand that correctly?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, they all had their own gigs. They all had their own stuff they were doing, and we had our stuff we were doing. That all got canceled. And
but the technology, I mean, actually, going and getting it and letting someone else listen, and they have to work it and then sending it back and putting it up on a server and then coming down, doing that part of the process.
Well, I mean, I had already been working with video. If you've looked at my channel,
sure, you have a huge amount of content on that, and we're going to make sure and promote that in the Be Positive video.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. There are a couple of songs that we actually released the song formally. That's Front Porch and the song I Can't Sing. Those two songs. But I wanted to make videos to go with them. And I thought, I don't have any money to do this. But I did have a couple of DVDs of family movies. And so I ripped the the
Nice.
videos off of that, and I put together these videos, to those two songs using old 16 millimeter films from my family.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
my great grandfather wore a fedora very similar to this one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is in your windshield in the next couple of months?
So I want to record some songs that we've been working on. There's Zen Cowboy Prayer. There's one called Cheater's Door. There's one called Hot Rod Hearse. There's one
Nice.
called let's see, what is it? Queen of the Mine. It's a story that my daughter and I made up about a ghost in a mine.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
there just aren't, in my opinion, they're just, back in the 70s, like you'd hear all these story songs on the radio. You never hear those anymore.
Well, this is, and I'm so glad for you to say that, because as Renee knows,
Oh, yes.
my story songs are what are the core of where I live. That's how I enter music, is into story songs.
Like City of
And
New Orleans and
yeah,
all of those. And
yeah,
he's
and
getting me to write. Now we teamed up to write songs together, and he's bringing me in that direction because I went more the REM route, Joe, where
Yeah.
there's no story songs. But
Well-
I agree now, and I see the value in story songs, how beautiful and touching they are.
And I could talk about my process, but I don't think we have time to do that. I mean, I
Yeah.
was told this is a 30-minute show, so.
Well, yeah, I know,
Well,
but
we'll
there's so
do
much
that,
to
but
talk
anyway, but
about.
thank
But
you.
we do need wait. We're being reminded by our producer about the
Yes.
finger picking that Joe said he wanted to get in.
Oh, I love that. Would you please? I
you
love
show us a
watching
little
that
of the
happen.
finger
There's one more song we were going to do, which was a kissful song.
Yeah, we have time for both. If you do the finger picking, and then you can close us out.
So, this is a good one.
Well, don't stand close to the candy man. He'll put a big candy stick in your hand, candy man. I walked down the street on a cold gray day. I had no one to see. I had nothing to say. You saw my guitar and you asked me to play. After my song, you said, how can I pay? When I saw you, my tongue was untied. I let go of my anger and pride. The old man inside of me died, and I wanted to sing a kiss for a song. Your lips were apart. A song for a kiss. And I gave you my heart. I think about you whenever I sing. The way that you kiss for a song. It's our little game. I'll sing them for you again and again. When I saw you, my tongue was untied. I went to go of my anger and pride. The old man inside of me died, and I wanted to sing a kiss for a song. Your lips were apart, a song for a kiss, and I gave you my heart.
I love that. That was so sweet.
That
Was
is
she happy with the
wonderful.
song? Was she happy with the song? The woman that
It
you wrote the
is.
song for.
It is. It has been wonderful to watch the world turn on as the sun moves across your studio and across this place. Joe, thank you so much for this time. I apologize that we took you over the time without telling you. I hope we haven't messed with your Friday.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I look forward to getting an opportunity to be able to have another conversation. My sense is that we have many other topics to explore. I'd love to learn more about harmonics and what that means. I mean, when I was harmonies are something that just uh, raise my soul, and how they work and what they work and how you weave them in. I loved how you talked about when you construct a song that you leave spaces for the other instruments and the other bandmates to come in. I've never heard it expressed that way, but I can. But thank you for helping me get into the technicalities of something that I do not understand, and learning about the creative process. You're a beautifully articulate man.
I'm still trying to convince Ray to use an augmented chord.
Thank you. Would you please? I don't know what you can
He has
possibly
to
do. What possibly you can do in mentoring her, but we really need to. We're in development on a series called Cover Girl,
A
where
record. A
where
record.
record has what she does is that Ray has about 1,000 songs she's written, and we want to take these songs and get them out there to use it as a way of fundraising for the network to get somebody to cover it, and learning how to cover it. What would be the ways that we could get it to cover? So and put all the stuff back in. So we'll talk to you about that. Maybe
And
you
I
can
hope
help
you,
her.
and I hope that, yes, and I do need to, I just reminded me that I do need to send you the song that I wrote for Vic Chestnut when he died.
I have that. As a matter of fact, I put it into my digital audio workstation. I haven't done anything with it yet, but
That
But
would
anyway,
be
teach
so
us
beautiful.
and help
Thank
us
you,
to be
Joe. Thank you.
help us to thank you to help us to grow. We have adopted Athens, Georgia as our headquarters. It's a virtual headquarters. We love Georgia. We
We
feel like
love
that
it, yes.
Georgia is holding the line for democracy right now. And the things that are happening in Georgia are the ways that we're going to retain and grow our democracy. And so we appreciate all the work that you're doing and the grace that you're doing.
Yes, and we've had so many questions about when people can expect to see you live and where.
so let's say we've got a couple of things booked. We have this one thing booked here in Winterville, which is just a very small little town east of Athens. This coming Friday, we're going to be, just Nalida and I are going to do a little acoustic show at the Winterville Library. Just the two of us, no mics, nothing.
Wow,
And,
beautiful.
So that'll happen this coming Friday. And then we do have something booked with the whole band at the Front Porch Bookstore here in Winterville. and that is on April 30th, which is a Saturday.
All right.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Everyone come check them out. Thank you
And
so
many
much,
times in
Joe.
between. Thank you so much, Joe. And I look forward to talking with you again.
I just have one more thing to say. So,
Please.
If people want to see us live, talk to the venues, talk to the people who book the venues, say, you need to get Joe Willey and the Moving Men in here. And, because that's the thing that the venues look for. They
Thank
want
you.
a band who has an audience. They want a band that's got lots of followers. I mean, that makes a huge, huge difference. When
Yes.
people have a lot of followers, you can take it to the venue and say, look at all these people, so we've got somebody who will probably come see us.
Butts in the seat.
Exactly. We need butts in the seat. Yeah, we need the people in the seats. Just fill it
Yeah.
up. Yes, that's what we need.
Like-
Yes.
Butts in seats, asses on the dance floor. That's what it's all
There
about.
you go. That's the best way to end this broadcast. Butts in the seats, dances on the dance floor. And this is Joe Willey from, yes, this is Joe Willey from Joe Willey and the Moving Men. I know, Joe, we have many more conversations to have. Of course, we will be seeing you a lot. We love you.